going to go into a winter where some more interesting technological ideas can start to come forward, especially now that we have this new, more powerful AI ingredient enter the mix.
I had the chance to interview some of my favorite investor friends in December of 2022 to hear about their observations, insights, or predictions for 2023. Each is a mini episode of 5 to 10 minutes. Our next featured guest is Joshua Schachter. He's a deep thinker on technology trends and is famous for launching one of the internet's first social bookmarking sites called Delicious in 2003. We talk about topics in AI such as business versus technology innovation, copyright, credit, and ownership turbulence, the complications in the marketplace that large language models introduce, and how all of this makes identity and trust change on the internet. It was so much fun to catch up with Joshua and hear his thinking on the future. I hope you enjoy having a listen in.
I think that we have largely not seen a huge amount of innovation make it into the product side. Modulo AI advancements, which I think are actually have not even started yet. I'm starting to think that the giant growth in tech in the last 2 years was more about business innovation than technological innovation. In tech investing, I think it's key to understand that a technical innovation and a business innovation paired are what make it a novel, new, interesting business. Otherwise, and they're still interesting, not from a tech investing point of view, but maybe from a execution play or whatever. I personally am really interested in the innovation economy. I think that image generation is really fun and interesting, and it's visceral because it's very visual.
Yeah.
But it's actually not that important because we don't actually communicate a lot around photos and images. Like they accompany other things, right? Both video and text are more information dense. So the large language model stuff, while a bit less whizzy, is going to be enormously more impactful in terms of what the future might hold. I think we're going to see a huge amount of copyright, credit, and ownership turbulence because of the image stuff. What's copying, what's plagiarizing, who invented stuff, what does it mean, etc. Much like there was music in the past, right? We have photos are copyright or not, but for music, you have covers, you have sample, you have this very complicated idea of ownership. And I think we're going to start to see that. But I think what will happen is that legislation and non-practitioner understanding of the segment will actually lag even further. That, it's like 10 years behind and it's going to go to 30 years behind. I think that the language model stuff is actually going to be even more complicatedly both detracting and enhancing to the marketplace right now, because people can okay, this looks accurate without, people can't really evaluate the quality of something directly. Like this sounds like this is how you end up hiring people who interview well rather than are good at the job they're hired for, right? And I think that's going to happen in text, right? Like everything will become untrustworthy, and a huge bunch of people will not trust anything, and a huge bunch of people will trust everything, and both of which is actually bad for the marketplace. When transactions in general can't be trusted, right? When you exist in a low trust marketplace, peer-to-peer as a viable architecture disappears. Right. So think about high trust systems being replaced by low trust systems that aren't obviously low trust. And so I think AI is only going to make that worse.
So that's going to cause the problem. And then do you think the solution is some cryptographic signing of everything on the internet? Or
the realization that people will eventually have is that there is no such thing as core verifiable identity. For years we talked about if only we could roll out PKI as an identity thing. I mean, even Netscape 2 or 3 had client-side certificates where you could have an identity in the browser with a cryptographic certificate using PKI that is functionally identical to a wallet key looks like. Nobody wanted that, but we could have had it 20 years ago, probably because difficulty of use trumps security still. Even with millions, billions on the line, people are fine without it.
It seems like a lot of identity is kind of these webs of trust and webs of relationships, which are social networky type ideas. So do you imagine existing social networks will take us there in some way, or do you think there will be sort of totally new tools?
Existing social networks are going to tend to play it too close to the vest to really innovate, because to become decentralized in that manner will play against their own interests. So short term, no. Now, it could be that there is a opportunity for carefully constructed large language models look at things and go, this is claiming to be this person, and we know it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Or this person is saying things that don't fit with their behavior, and it is therefore suspect, right? So, I mean, think about how many times you've heard about grandma getting scammed by someone making a fake profile. And, grandma, I'm in jail. I need you to go buy $400 worth of iTunes cards and send it to the IRS. Trust is eroding, and the pace of that is picking up. And so I think that will be a transformative change. I think it will be very interesting. I think we will start to see systems that are explicitly designed around high trust. Every communication needs to be attachable to a suable. I get an email in my inbox. I should be able to walk it all the way back to a human entity that can be punished, because that's the problem, right? It's very low cost to spam, very low cost to scam. And if you can bring up the transaction costs to the point where it makes sense, you can have better behavior. The way you build large interacting systems like markets and decentralized and whatever, right, is that you reduce barrier to entry to make them big, and then you increase transaction cost to make them good. And we just never did that second step for basically any system.
Well, if you're thinking about new ways to increase transaction costs on the internet, I'd love to hear about it. That was so much fun to hear from Joshua and his thoughts on the road ahead. Sign up for my newsletter at curiousdk.com. You'll get upcoming episodes and can follow along with what I'm learning in technology.